Explain it. All right, we're here with Vicente Cafaro, Creighton graduate from Venezuela. So, Vicente, we're going to ask you a few questions about your experience in America. First, tell them where you're from and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Vicente Cafaro, and I'm originally from Maracay. It's on the north part of the country of Venezuela, which is in the north part of South America. Um, my dad's Italian, mom Venezuelan. I was born in Venezuela and spent 19 years of my life in Venezuela, and then lived 1 year in Italy, and have been in the United States for the past 10 years.
All right. So, what was your perception of the United States before you came to the U.S.?
Yeah. Growing up, our Venezuelan pastime is also baseball, just like the American pastime. So a lot of Latin American baseball players have had the opportunity to come to the United States and play in the major league. So I grew up watching some baseball on TV and had that as a goal of mine. So the U.S. was always the place where I wanted to be, just because I wanted to accomplish some of my childhood dream and goals. So it was to play baseball in the United States, and I had the opportunity to see a different side when I had the chance to attend college. So I had the expectation to go and play professionally. Going through college was a little different. I still had to learn the language a little bit faster and go through school while playing. So I always thought that the U.S. had a lot of opportunities to offer to young people, and just had to kind of take advantage of that and adapt to what the culture was like, and just perform, I guess.
What's the biggest adjustment that you've had to make since you've been living in the United States?
Yeah, culture-wise, it's kind of tough to describe culture, but just back home, there are different ways that people hang out with each other, treat each other, different expectations. My biggest challenge has always been being on time. All right, so when back home somebody says something is going to happen at 8 a.m., it's 8:15 when people start rolling in. So being in the United States, the expectation of being on time and how valuable time is for everybody else is a little different. So we kind of have to change the clock and go to 7:45 versus 8:15 whenever something is set up for 8 o'clock. So.
How does school compare in the U.S. to school where you're from?
That's one of my I don't know, one of the things that I challenge other Americans, I guess, whenever I have discussions, because whenever we went to high school and whenever we went to elementary school and college in general, your classes are all set up and everybody does the same thing, all right? So when you go to ninth grade, you got to go and take chemistry and take physics and biology. Like, I've learned throughout my years here that even in high school you get to choose kind of which classes you would like to take depending on what your preference are, and same in college. So it's kind of, I don't know, a little different in that regard, because you get to choose maybe what you like or what you're good at. Back home, you were forced to get over it and just kind of learn whatever was taught that semester or that trimester or that year. So a little adjustment in respect to, okay, I came to college and I had to choose actually which classes I had to take. I mean, there is some requirements, but still, whenever you get into some of those electives, you kind of get to pick and choose what you would like to learn about. So forcing some of these young kids to maybe go through chemistry and go through physics and struggle and know that you have to actually learn and try to succeed in something that you don't like, it would be something I would like to see in the future, I guess.
How does the food compare from Venezuela to here?
Well, a lot more homemade meals, I guess. Like whenever I remember sitting for lunch and eating a 3-course meal here in the U.S., lunch is a little sandwich and a pop, so it's a little different. But I mean, I try now that I have my own family. I try to kind of cook and try to get our children to experience some of those nice meals at home, and just try to avoid the fast food restaurant stuff.
All right. How would you compare like the politics in the U.S. to back in Venezuela?
Well, sensitive subject. I don't want anybody, Professor. I'm not against or in favor of your politics view, but no. When I was growing up, you guys probably have heard of President Chavez. So he has been in power, or he was in power actually, for a longer period of time than I've been in the U.S. So he was in power probably for 11 or 12 years, and I mean it's memorable to see how one person can control 40 million people just for the power of his speeches. So the energy that he had, all the enthusiasm and the charisma for his belief, kind of made this whole country go on a different direction. So there is a lot more power in the Latin American politics world on one person than, I mean, in the U.S. there is a lot of people on the Senate and all the other governor and groups that they kind of have a saying whenever a decision has to be made in order to go through. So back home it was kind of whatever that person said, that's what it was. So it was a little bit more, I mean, it's not a dictatorship every time that somebody makes a decision, but it wasn't as big of a process to change something, or to, for example, change the Constitution like 3 times in 10 years, so just so he could stay in the power for a little longer. So it was something different, and the process was, they tried to make it as democratic as it could be. So they said, well, people will be able to sign a paper. Like there was like elections every time. So every time the decision was going to be made, the whole 40 million people that were able to vote took a vote, and there it goes. Everything is computerized, so we don't really knew if we voted or not. So it was kind of tough to make decisions based on that one person. So.
All right, I think that's it.
That's it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, thank you.